What's the most popular word of 2024? Stay tuned and you'll find out. This is the Focus Group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is our website. You'll learn about us there, and also our Tuesday podcast, TFGM button, the companion to the Focus Group. And while you're there, you'll also check out our partners and sponsors, one of them being Deep Discount, who's been with us for quite a long time here on Focus Group. We'd like you to visit them by obviously clicking their logo, and we will visit with them later in the show because we've got some great recommendations for you. But Mr. Bennett, here we are after Thanksgiving, and I wanted to let you know that I found an app that kind of freaked me out, and I did it, and here's the deal. It's called the Death Clock app. Have you heard of this?
No, but only you would find that.
It came up in my news feed, and I decided to download it and play and go do a thing. And it tells you when you're supposed to die based on a bunch of questions it asks you. So, do you know when what age do you think it tells me I'm going to die at?
93.
You're close. It was 87. It said it was going to be heart disease, cancer, or liver problems. And the exact date was something like February 7th, 2053, or something like that.
How did it decide that?
You know, it asks you a bunch of questions about your age, your family history, but then it gets kind of wonky, like how many drinks do you have a week? And the slowest you could say was like 5 to 7. I don't even come close to that. I mean, I may have one drink a week on average, like if it's an average. So then it says, you know, do you want to know? And you click yes. And I deleted the app after doing it because I was actually not quite happy with the.
You didn't like 87? What's the name of it?
It's called let me tell you here, it's called the Death Clock app.
Death Clock app. How long did it take? Did you have to fill out a bunch of questions?
Did
you have to pay for it?
No. Well, actually, yeah, you could pay for things. But I didn't bother with that. I just did the free thing. Yeah, it's the Death Clock. It's called Death Clock. It's on the App Store. It's available for Apple and Android.
My retirement at Fidelity has done its own little clock. They tell me 93 or 91. Somewhere.
I'm 90 for some reason. They have us at 90 or 91 now, I think.
You know, I've been reading. I guess this happens, you know, when you hear about old people doing this. You read the obituaries, and I would say most men die between 75 and 85.
I would agree with you from what I read, yeah.
Every single one I look at. So it's 73, 72, but you can figure 73 to 83 or 75 to 85. So when I do my math, I don't know why we're working. 20 years goes quick. We enjoy it, Tim. We enjoy it. 20 years goes quick.
But you're right. Basically, based on this app, I looked at it, I thought, oh my God, I have this much time. But I guess we always knew that. And you're right about the actuarial tables. Men do not live as long as women. No. You know, women can go into their 90s, no problem. And I'm with you. Like the last time I looked at some of the obituaries, well, you get the outliers, like someone who dies at a young age, someone in their early 50s or 60s. But yeah, mostly it's 77, 82, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And lots of men are getting, there's two things that seem to be prevalent or seem to be popping up more and more. Parkinson's for men.
Yes.
And kidneys for everybody. And they seem to think it's a lot of the preservatives and things. So maybe RFK Jr. is not so wrong in terms of our diet.
I'll tell you, you and I have talked about this a number of times on the program. If you go, like a friend of mine recently gave me a bar of chocolate from the UK, and it was like dark chocolate. It tastes almost the same as ours here because they can't mess around with dark chocolate too much, but like a milk chocolate bar, completely different. Completely different.
All I remember, and I forget who said it, but I laugh every time I look at it, is if you go on YouTube or anywhere else in Google, and if you look at old American Bandstand or Soul Train from the 80s, there might be one kid that's overweight.
Everybody was thin.
Maybe one kid. And it's got to be our diet. It's obviously our diet and the preservatives that have been added to our food so that you can go buy in bulk and keep it for 3 months rather than going every week to go shop or every day to go shop like they do in Europe.
But you don't eat a lot of processed food. I don't even know if you eat processed food.
I'll grab potato chips and stuff like that. But with my knee and all the other things, I find it harder and harder to lose weight just as you age. I think your bodies change. I mentioned to you on our podcast, TFG Unbuttoned, to watch Yacht Rock, and
the documentary.
And so they show Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald and everybody, as we know what they looked like in the 70s and 80s, unrecognizable.
Really?
Because they're all interviewed now. They're all part of the documentary, but all probably 50, 60 pounds heavier, obviously aged. But, you look at I was watching and I Love Lucy, and I couldn't believe her waist, how skinny her waist was. And I thought, she smoked, but I'm not going to start smoking. But, and you've never had a weight problem, so you've never had the issue. But for somebody like me whose weight could fluctuate pretty easily, I just, and I've been craving fast food lately. I keep threatening I'm going to go to McDonald's. I've been saying that for 3 months. I haven't gone.
But you should just do it the one time.
I don't know what I'm going to get. What would you get?
You know what you're going to get.
I thought of a fillet of fish. Because you think that's healthy, but it's not.
You're going to, don't you want
probably a double cheeseburger or a quarter pounder
cheeseburger,
cheese.
yeah. With a regular fry, no large You didn't do the large fry.
I don't even need the fry. I'd be happy to.
Just the double
now,
cheeseburger.
I will tell you. You had talked. One of our listeners owns an Arby's franchise out west.
Yes,
and they have an Arby's here now in Rehoboth. And I went by it the other day, and I thought, I wonder if I should stop and get that vanilla milkshake the coach used to like.
I knew you were going to go for the shake. I knew you were going to go right to the shake.
I didn't do that this year at all. I didn't go to my favorite milkshake place. I got no milkshake this year.
Tim, when we were hanging out in high school together, and we would do the McDonald's thing, I think that it was like my standing order was 2 regular hamburgers, a large fry, and an orange soda. And I think you did orange too, right?
Yep.
But then when we did shakes, I think you always preferred did you do shakes there or at the Dairy Queen?
Well, I did shakes there, but there was that other place, the ice cream shop or something we used to get shakes at. But no, I would do the McDonald's one. But there was another thing I used to love to get there, and I convinced them that it was a thing. But, the kids we all knew worked there anyway. So I would get a large cup with a medium root beer in it, and then make them put vanilla ice cream in it.
Your own root beer float.
So, no, they sell these at other McDonald's. They do.
Who was at the front counter? Stephanie? Did her dad own the franchise?
Her dad owned them. Remember, her dad owned the franchises.
To our listeners, we went to school with this great girl who used to also work at McDonald's part time, and we would go in and order something, and she'd go, "Look at that, it's $2." This whole order, like Tim's double cheeseburger, $2.
That or the grocery store. We'd go in there and get brie and other types of fancy cheeses and stuff, and. Back before computers and zappers and scanners or whatever, they would just hit the numbers in on the old machine. 27 cents.
Was it Laura who worked over at Record World in the plaza?
Oh, yeah, Laura at Record World.
I would go in sometimes and pick up an album, and she'd ring it up, and it was like 50 cents, $1. Like if you knew, like we were all working at these stores, and I was the same way at Marshall's, like I told
the whole town lost money.
I was telling Bob recently, he was laughing about my Marshall's experience where I had this woman I work with named Dot Rinaldi, and Dottie, one day I'm looking at this Oxford shirt. I forget who made it, button down, and I said, "Oh, I like this. Give it to me. Is that your size? Is that your sleeve length?" I said, "Yeah." She shoves it on behind a box under a counter, and it stayed there for like 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, and then because it was on the markdown list. By the time I brought it to the counter, the shirt was $1.50. And the manager looks at me, and I come up, and plus my employee discount, I think I spent 75 cents for the shirt or something. And she looks at me and Dottie for a minute, and she said, "This is one of our better selling items. How did this not go out the door?" Dot's like, "Who knows?"
Who knows?
Ellie Barabas, our manager, just looked at both of us. She goes, "Mm-hmm. Ring, 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 rings here, 75 cents.
I had a friend in college, and I forget the name, but it was like a Woolworths equivalent. Kresge, that's what it was.
Kresge's, yeah.
And he worked at the Kresge's at another location in Ohio during the summer, and he had a roll of all the special tags. So when he come to college,
okay,
right? So he'd bring the roll with him to college, and we'd go in, And I still remember I wanted to get the ABBA album, Super Trooper.
Sure, yes.
Or The Visitors or
Yes.
whatever. And it was $11.99 or $8.90, whatever they were. And he had this special thing for $1.99, so he slaps $1.99 on it. We go to checkout. And the woman at the checkout says, I just bought this for my daughter. It's $8.99. He goes, well, you got to shop here at Kresge's. It's like, did you buy it here? She said, no. Well, you got to shop at Kresge's. And I'd be mortified we were going to get caught, but he had this whole thick roll of Kresge special.
Oh, Tim.
Shrinkage.
As a friend of mine recently said to me via Facebook, we lived in the golden age of analog where you could do that. A sticker got you like almost a free
Well, a
album.
friend of mine who used to get, and I'm surprised you didn't do this, a friend of mine used to get, well, you didn't do it because you didn't get the right scores, like neither did I, but a friend of mine made a lot of money taking the SATs for other kids.
Oh, that was a big racket. Yeah.
Yeah, she got one girl into Syracuse, had no business going to college even. And
Should no business going to
she
college.
was mortified because she recently went to the girl's mother's, dies at the funeral. She said, this is my friend. She's the one who took the SAT for me.
Well, look, I used to sell my homework when I was in grade school.
Yeah.
And when my mother finally discovered that and shut it down, I did hear that my parents arguing behind the closed door that my father claimed it was showing a lot of ingenuity and smart business sense. But I'm like, you can't sell your brain. I'm like, what do we do every day? Anyway, folks, without further ado, Mr. Bennett, what caught your eye?
We've
What
gotta
caught
do the
your
show.
eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
We got to do the show.
Got
Yeah.
to do the show. We just can't talk. The this one came across. It's just a little short one, but and if you're watching the video, you'll get a better.
Took me a
better
second,
idea
Tim. It took me a second to figure this one out.
to look at it. But the headline is Walmart's unintentionally gay holiday decorations go viral. So this TikToker, we got to get on the TikTok, John.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that offline. So there's a video. So Walmart put this video up, and it was highlighting their holiday decorations. And all of a sudden, within 48 hours, they couldn't figure out what happened, but it went up to millions of views. And it was because some TikToker named Shay Aiden, he went on and he started laughing, and he said he took all these ornaments that Walmart had posted with cardinal birds on them. And they said, for casual observers, you might assume that the birds were pears, which were both bright red in color and romantic couplings. So there's, the one with Noel and the two birds. Well, he said, I don't think Walmart did their research to know that the female cardinal is just kind of drab and brown.
Almost
the
brown,
males are
yeah.
red. And so all of the holiday decorations with the pairing of this kind of romance and I guess coupling is two male birds. So they're in a snow globe. It looks like they're in a throuple in that lantern. And then on the Noel sticks. So he said he went up and he posted this and he got 25 million views in the day and 4 million likes after he mentioned it. And then somebody said, oh, they're just roommates, suggested one responder. That got 337,000 likes.
They're lavender married.
Right. And then somebody writes, historians will say they were best friends, quipped another, some suggesting they're like Bert and Ernie. So it says, it turns out that male cardinals have graced holiday decor for decades. And one guy said that when he came out to his mother and she was upset he was gay, he bought her one of these and she very proudly places on the table each year. And he thinks it's his little rebellion that his mother has no idea that it's two male birds that are on the little love nest. So I just thought that was a funny thing. I guess I didn't think of it until you look at it of the
Tim,
the male
you sent the
cardinals.
pictures. I'm organizing the slide, and I keep staring at it, thinking, "What is?" And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, "Wait a minute." The male cardinal is the bright red one,
Red,
and
yeah.
there are two males on every one of these ornaments. It's one of those things where I love when people discover this stuff or like figure it out. Like, oh my God, they're gay cardinals.
Because you wouldn't want to put the brown one on there. It's just a brown bird, right?
The female,
So,
no.
yeah.
Oh, and it took. I remember when I learned that the female was not the brightest one, and it's the male is the one that draws away the prey, the whole bit because of the color.
Same with the mallard ducks, right? Ducks are the same way. So.
So what caught my eye could not be any further from, but it is in the pop culture trash bin in some levels. So you'll see what I mean when I say Jeopardy recently had a Episcopalian priest on, and one of the categories was Bible clues, and he missed them both. But he did get a question about Megan Fox in a movie she was in recently. So it was it says priest misses 2 Bible clues on Jeopardy, but fans chuckle as he guesses Megan Fox film correctly. So he was paired up with it was a November 27th episode. I actually watched this episode. That's why this caught my eye, because I saw it come in and this is from a Brit publication. Julian Shan, a stay-at-home mom, Drew Wheeler, a high school social studies teacher from Athens, Georgia, and then Kevin Laskowski, an Episcopal priest from Falls Church, Virginia, took the stage and were quizzed on various trivia things. They were so as the game goes on. One of the categories is quoting the King James Bible, and he guesses one of them. And it says the $800 question was, you had to finish this, I think, with a 4-letter thing. It says, "Why beholdest thou this 4-letter thing that is in thy brother's eye, but considered not the beam that is in thine own eye," or something crazy like that. And after a moment and crickets, Ken Jennings has to come on and say, well, it's the mote in God's eye. It's okay. So the second clue that stumped all 3, including the Episcopal priest, was, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils this phrase." Crickets are once again ensuing, even though the Episcopal priest picked this category. And then Ken Jennings goes, "The breath of life." But later on, the priest answered correctly about a Megan Fox movie. So over in England, at least, on Twitter and on some of the social media, they were like, what the hell? He's a priest. I'm not a religious person, but at least I got the 2 Bible questions right. Should I go to that church? So it's just kind of a nonsense thing. He may have frozen. Who knows why he didn't get them? But when a priest cannot answer a Bible question on
it's a
Jeopardy,
tough question. Yeah.
I think
Although they've been
be
showing a lot of bloopers on Jeopardy lately. Maybe it's just because of social media. My favorite one was when Alex Trebek was still alive. I don't know if you've seen it with the woman where when they do the first round of questions and then they go to break and come back and do their little
interview. Yeah.
So there's this woman there, kind of very Midwestern woman standing there. And he says to her, wished for snow on her wedding day. How did that work out? And she goes, "We didn't have any on the wedding day, but I got 8 inches on my honeymoon." And the whole
serious?
audience, and Alex Trebek is just like blink, 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 blink. And everybody is busting up laughing. She had no idea what she said. I mean, it was hilarious. So no snow on our wedding day, but I got 8 inches on my honeymoon.
Can't make it up, right?
No.
Like that's... Bob and I were recently laughing about. Do you remember when that YouTube video went around, the honey badger?
Oh,
honey
yeah.
badger don't give a shit. The honey badger I can watch it to this day and almost cry with laughter at how funny it is. But he made a bunch of videos after that, and they were never quite the same.
Never as
And
good.
it's what you and I and Paul Hagen used to talk about: lightning in a bottle, right? Sometimes something happens, and then you try to recreate it. Yeah, like you could never recreate that answer. Like, well, I didn't get it on them, but I got inches the next.
There's the snake. There's the rattlesnake. Honey badger don't give a shit. You're gonna eat the snake.
That's the one.
Honey badger don't care. Honey badger.
All right, moving right along, folks. As many of you are aware, we have a great partner here on the Focus Group, and that would be Deep Discount. You can visit their site by going to focusgroupradio.com and clicking on the Deep Discount logo to start your shopping extravaganza. And with the holidays here, everything's on sale over there. They have great prices to begin with, so it's always a first stop for me when I want a movie or a TV show. They also sell vinyl records and toys and books, lots of stuff. So with that in mind, with like a Black Friday, Cyber Monday holiday sale going on, Mr. Bennett, what did you pick?
Well, you can own your passion at Deep Discount, John. So my
Indeed,
passion,
you can.
My passion a lot of times is documentaries, as you and I talk about a lot.
So far you've turned me on to Yacht Rock, and last week you mentioned a documentary as well. Oh, Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart, you got to watch that.
Yeah.
And this is a documentary-ish sort of thing, but it's been popping up. They've been showing a lot of imagery because it was just released recently, and actually it was just released last month. And they've been showing a lot of pictures of some of the imagery of it. So it's the Planet Earth Trilogy collection. It's 30% off. It's a box set. Contains 11 discs on Blu-ray. You can get it for $48.99.
amazing price, Tim, for
Right.
you said 11 Blu-ray discs?
11 discs, and they've been showing some incredible underwater pictures of animals we've never seen before that they've been showing on social media to tease us. But it's available at deep discount. It says the Planet Earth series, and it's also narrated by Sir David Attenborough, which is just fantastic.
Sir David.
And so it says the epic trilogy takes you on an extraordinary journey across the globe, exploring the vast and diverse ecosystems that make up our planet. It's Planet Earth 2, and Planet Earth 3. And they came out in 6, 16, and 23. And they transport you to the remotest wilderness and urban environments, witnessing beauty, resilience, and struggles of life on Earth. And way, as I said, they delve deep into the underwater environments, as well as up to some of the most remote and isolated places on Earth. So the photography is unbelievable, particularly now with drones.
Oh, and they capture animals at all time of the day and night.
Yeah.
And I love these series. I'm really glad you picked this. This is one of these things. BBC often has marathons of the
Yes.
Planet Earth shows, and I can get lost in this very easily. And it's so wonderful to watch, and you just realize how complex the planet actually is. And the more you watch this, the less you start worrying about some of the stuff going on in Washington. This could be an antidote to the recent elections, right?
Most certainly.
I picked something completely different. It goes back to my high school days. It's a movie that came out now on 4K Ultra HD. It's been out for a long time. It was released in 1984. It's called The Last Starfighter. And Robert Preston is in this movie. He plays a character called Centauri. And the shtick, the plot of this movie is simple. There's a video game called The Last Starfighter. And this one guy at a hotel/trailer park gets like the super high score. And one night, it almost looks like a DeLorean, kind of a DeLorean style car pulls up, and Robert Preston's in it with his fedora, and he calls himself Centauri, and he's like looking for this kid, and he said who had the highest score, and the guy gets in the car, and the car starts driving like at 300 miles an hour, and then it takes off and it goes into space. And it takes him to a planet that's at war with an alien civilization. And basically, the Starfighter game was a training module for how he would get into an actual fighter ship and fight the aliens. And it's just, I always had a soft spot in my heart for this movie. When I saw it pop up in 4K Ultra HD, and it's probably the negative's been cleaned up the whole bit, I thought, oh, what the hell, I should buy this. It's so it's 4K Ultra HD. It's $29.99. You also could get the Blu-ray version for a little less, but it's The Last Starfighter, and it stars Robert Preston. I think it's one of the last roles. Well, no, he had roles after that, but he adds a whole level of comedic kind of fun to the movie. But Last Starfighter.
Can I ask you a question about science fiction?
Yeah.
Of all and you're a huge fan of it, so I hope this is a fair question, but of all the different worlds that you visited with all these different genres, all science fiction, but with different movies, is there one place you would like to go, or do you think depicts it the best?
So
in terms of space.
There's science and there's science fiction, right? So
in the science fiction world, so like Dune, and I know you love. What's your favorite movie? It was the begins with a B. Why am I losing my mind?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner actually takes
of all those worlds. Is there one that you would like to be in, or that you would like to visit?
The Blade Runner world is interesting because it's Earth in the far future with climate change going crazy. I would love. I think 2001: A Space Odyssey nails it for me. There's an orbital space station. There's a Pan Am plane that flies up to it. You could have a cocktail there's a Hilton hotel in orbit, and then you go to the moon, and then eventually in that movie, the ship Discovery goes to Jupiter. And I think to be orbiting a planet like Jupiter or Saturn, to see some of that stuff with the naked eye would just be amazing. So I could stay right here in the solar system and be happy.
Okay. All right, good.
Speaking of sci-fi, though, you did a good bridge there. The release this week is Alien Romulus. Now, this came out this year. Got great reviews. It's part of this whole Alien pantheon, but not directed by Ridley Scott. I could read the description for you here. I have not seen it yet, and I'd like to. This truly terrifying sci-fi horror thriller takes the legendary Alien franchise back to its iconic roots. While scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young colonizers come face to face with the deadliest life form in the universe. That would be the alien. So that's kind of that's the xenomorph, they call it. So that's the new release this week. It's 4K Ultra HD, available for $29.99, and it's Alien Romulus.
Great. Well, as John mentioned, head over to focusgroupradio.com, click on the deep discount logo, and own your passion. Start shopping away. They've got a Black Friday Cyber Week sale going on right now. There's tens of thousands of items, movies, games, toys, and more. I picked this week the Planet Earth Trilogy on Blu-ray, which you can get for $48.99. John picked one of his favorites from back in the day, the Last Starfighter. And the new release this week is Alien Romulus. And again, you can get all of those products and much more at deep discount. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a shop talk and a business birthday for you, so stay tuned.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now back to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Available pretty much everywhere.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash here with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is our site, and you are watching or listening to the Focus Group in its 16th year. And Tim, I think we're going to be entering our 17th year as in April of next year, 2025.
Yeah, I believe the real date is March 28th.
March 20th. I think you're right.
Our first show aired in April, but we taped it on March 28th.
We had bloody knuckles, by the way, when we aired our very first show, because we had
many times.
We had the Frau. She was kind of like a nun with a ruler, you know. And Tim had to type up we had to speak from a script. We had to
read it exactly as written. One time we missed a the. Remember?
Got wrapped.
Word, and she came screaming and the door flew open.
Of this door was like a foot thick. It's like a soundproof door. Door flying. You got to read the script. I remember one time she said to me, we were like after one of the shows, she said, well, you know, this has been going really well, and do you have any feedback? And I said, yeah, I do. I said, you know, for me, the carrot works way better than the stick. And she was totally about the stick and not the carrot, but Tim and I are like...
Right. And then she never talked to us again after we booked Augustin Burroughs, because she also had him, and she was mad. And I said, well, she has nothing to do with business. I said, well, he
was in advertising.
Works in advertising. So that's what we're going to talk to him about. Oh, she was so mad that we usurped him from her.
And Tim, you know what's so funny? Who's still on the air?
Us. And, you know, Martha Stewart also told us that when our show got canceled, we could go work for her. She didn't even last a year.
No, not on Sirius. She was on Sirius, yeah.
She announced to everybody, hi, everybody, I don't know if you know.
That's when you were at some dinner at her house.
Dinner at her house when she announced that she was.
Were you allowed to keep your shoes on because you were wearing buckskins?
I could keep mine on because I had rubber sole
shoes.
Bucks. Yeah, she had the ankle bracelet on from prison, and the girls had to take off their high heels.
I think last week when you were mentioning that Netflix documentary of her, you said something about that unfortunate period when she went to prison. Bob and I were listening to the show in the car, and he just busts out laughing. He goes, Tim always has a funny way of like phrasing that period when she was I
still remember the woman from Liz Claiborne was trying to do her lipstick in the stainless steel refrigerator because Martha had no mirrors in the house. There was not even one in the bathroom. There was just a light. When you looked, you're over the sink and you look in the mirror, it was just a light. She's trying to sneak away in the kitchen to put on
do
lipstick.
A touch up, yeah. Because you were there. You were one of the media people that stood by her.
There were three brands that stayed with her: Liz Claiborne,
Subaru,
and Durkin's mustard or something.
It was a mustard. It was a mustard company.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got invited to dinner, which was I should have kept her. I should have taken her up on a lot of her offers. I think that was a Chardonnay talking, but Yeah, she invited me to Maine.
You were
all kinds of things.
Tim probably was practicing the rule that I was taught, which is in situations like that, when you're with celebrity or people like that, best to maybe have one drink and then just kind of have water or something that looks like a vodka, something, just because, yeah.
She was pouring them though. She was pouring them heavy. It was we were having Chardonnay, and she put out pistachio nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she had pistachio nuts, and that was it. And she entertained in the kitchen, which was the size of most people's homes. But and then we went into the dining room. So
you hung out by the island, and she did your thing. The island in the kitchen.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back on the rails here with the business birthday.
Oh.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
I wonder if some week we should just do a free-form talk and not have any like our old friends.
Why not?
Like our old friends DNR.
As we get closer to Christmas, we should just do a pre-Christmas show and talk like that. I think we should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. No business birthdays or anything, but we have one today. Chester Greenwood, born December 4th, 1858. He died in 1937 at 78. An American engineer and inventor. He's known for inventing the earmuffs. In 1873, made him a lot of money, Mr. Nash. Earmuffs.
I was going to ask what the rich's payout was. Yeah.
He in 1873, at age 15, he was testing a new pair of ice skates, and he got very frustrated protecting his ears from the cold. He lived in Maine. He's from Maine. So he wrapped a headscarf around his head, but he said the wool was too itchy. So he took this piece of wire and designed this kind of wire to shape over his head. And he asked his grandmother to sew some fur onto the loops. And it successfully kept his ears away from the cold. So he later improved the prototype of what he called the earmuff by using the steel band which held them in place. And he named the earmuffs Greenwood's Champion Ear Protectors.
Okay, I like ear protector, yeah.
And so while he didn't invent the concept of covering one's ears from the cold, many Europeans had done that, his invention secured the coverings to the ears with a strap of metal over the head. That's where the difference came in. So people would always try to cover their ears, but it was this metal band over the head that came with your ears underneath. And it said it made him a lot of money. He manufactured these for over 30 years in Farmington, Maine, employed a lot of people within the town for over 60 years, had the factory there, and it just said he became quite wealthy off of earmuffs. He also tinkered around a lot. I couldn't quite understand. I didn't include the picture if you're watching the video. He patented a tea kettle. And apparently tea kettles would wear out on the bottom a lot.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And so he had patented a steel, some sort of steel metal copper tea
alloy
kettle that, whatever it was. But anyway, it didn't look too exciting. I didn't know there was so much work in tea kettles. There's a lot of tea kettle patents. He also did a steel tooth rake, something you and I would appreciate. He developed the idea of advertising on matchbooks. And so he did advertising on matchbooks and a machine he used to produce wooden spools for thread. He did not patent it, but he invented an umbrella holder for mail carriers. It says the total number of patents that he actually had has been contested. Some claim only a handful. Others claim over 100. And he doesn't remember, they said, toward the end of his life. He didn't remember how many he had. He also was the owner of a bicycle business, and which also kept the family going. He also had a business that improved heating systems. He introduced the first telephone system to the Farmington, Maine area. He was an accomplished machinist, a member of the Unitarian Church, and was married with 4 kids. The state of Maine now, in 1977, decided that December 21st would be declared Chester Greenwood Day. And the whole town celebrates with a big parade. They've now moved it because it was too close to Christmas. They moved it to the first Saturday in December, and there's a little picture there. But everyone wears earmuffs in this big parade.
This explains. So Tim sent me photos to put the graphics together for YouTube, and I was very mystified as to why they Lego people. So this is the picture he included of this parade. You know those little Lego minifigures, the minifigs they call them, and they have like an orange head. or yellow head, and with a little face on it. And it took me a long time until I realized the people in the parade dressed as Lego minifigs are in fact wearing earmuffs on the little
Yes.
Lego head, right?
Yeah, and all the people in the parade, there were other pictures of the parade people. Everyone's got earmuffs on. So that's part of the deal. So it's Chester Greenwood Day. The governor of Maine proclaims it such, invites people and urging them all in the state of Maine to participate and observe the day by wearing their earmuffs and having a ceremony or activity in their town. Sounds like almost like Groundhog Day, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Punxsutawney Phil must march, right?
It said they love the Mainers love having this because of it's the beginning and marks the beginning of the winter season and all the outstanding things you can do out in the wilderness in the state of Maine with earmuffs on. So it's Chester. We should now. This would be a day you and I would go to. Chester Greenwood Day Parade. That'd be one to attend, I would think.
Of course, Tim. This is right up there with the world's biggest ball of tinfoil, the Merrimack Caverns. Was that the Merrimack Caverns?
Merrimack Caverns in Missouri.
And the Barbed Wire Museum. This is like the Chester Greenwood Day. I would do. Yeah,
we'd wear earmuffs and we'd march in the parade and wave.
And we have special marshals. The special parade marshals this year are Tim Bennett and John Nash from the Focus Group. Big old earmuffs on. Yeah, the one-armed guy is clapping up a storm.
I know them. You have to get your little toy out.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, happy birthday, Chester.
Good one. And I think that lately you've gone back in time a bit to some of these most basic inventions, right? Like earmuffs. Like I forget what the other one was.
The other guy that was today was somebody we've done before. Oh no, Hormel.
You have done Hormel before.
We've done him a couple times, but this one popped up. I go to 3 or 4 different sites. There's a Canadian one and an Indian site from the country of India, which has some obscure ones too. But I sometimes I have to dig more than others. But earmuffs came in from Canada. The guy was on the Canadian site. So
there you go. All right.
Yeah.
We have a shop talk for you, and I teased it at the very beginning of the show, and it's the word of 2024. And apparently dictionary.com comes out with the word of the year, and they've done this for several years. And I guess they arrive at it via algorithmic searches. Like they comb data to see what word has been either in Google searches or appearing in social media a great deal. And I feel like we should have a drum roll, but I was surprised by this. And the word this year, the word of 2024, who had a meteoric rise in usage, a 1,200% increase in the digital media alone, is demure. And the sharp rise is mainly attributed to TikToker Jules LeBron's popularization of the phrase "very demure, very mindful" in a series of videos posted to the platform in early August. Now, the term demure has traditionally been used to describe those who are reserved, quiet, or modest. A new usage has spread through social media. Surprise, surprise. One used to describe refined and sophisticated appearance or behavior in various contexts, such as at work or on a plane. So someone who boards a plane wearing a nice button-down shirt and a pair of slacks and dress shoes, they would be demure, according to this new interpretation.
I was confused by this. Were you? About the new use of demure?
I was surprised that you could call. I don't. It's using a word for something that already has a word to it, right?
Right.
So, I guess that's what people do now, though, right?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out as you were reading that. I'm thinking that, and as I read it myself, I thought demure is demure, like they're very demure or he's acting demure, but they're trying to give it. It sounds like they're trying to either update the word or give it a more. I don't know. It still says sophisticated appearance. Isn't that demure? I thought somebody demure was understated.
Well, it says here has been to describe those who are reserved, quiet, or modest. So yes, Tim, understated.
Yeah.
What now? They also talked about. So this word, I think in the past when we looked at words of the year, it was words that appeared in print a great deal. Social media had a lot to do with this. But there were also a whole bunch of other words that were right up there with in contention for word of the year. Why don't you let us know that the first one, Mr. Bennett?
So the first one was brain rot. It says this appeared as early as 2004. Brain rot refers to the effects of spending too much time consuming low-quality content on social media. And so they said this surged by 1,000% from 2024 to 2023 in terms of usage or appearance. I don't know if I've used the word brain rot. Have you?
Not like this. And they said that sometimes the word appears as an open compound, like brain rot, as opposed to brain rot in one word. Yeah, I've heard it used. You and I are not like. Well, when you hear the next word, you'll see where we're going with all this. So the next word is brat. And it first appeared when a musician, Charlie XCX, said Kamala is brat. And so the new usage of brat redefines the word, using it to refer to someone who is confidently rebellious, unapologetically bold, and playfully defiant. Like brain rot, brat has shown around 1,000% increase in digital media use compared to the 2023 values. You and I both know that a brat is someone who is ill-behaved, right?
Spoiled brat.
Yeah, spoiled brat, right.
Yeah, I don't know if I would use that. I don't know if I would. Maybe we're too old, but I'm not so sure I would use it the way they have
No.
to say somebody's brat.
No.
You know, so the third one, I was a little surprised about. I thought this was just a known thing, but apparently, I guess because of climate change, the year 2024 saw a continued increase in the term extreme weather, particularly in web searches. And we all know because of hurricanes and flooding, not only here but globally, that people keep talking about extreme weather now rather than just, I guess, weather or storms. So extreme weather was another one that was in contention. That received, again, a number of hits or increases in digital media. So, I don't know, extreme weather. To me, that didn't seem to garner anything. But
weird one. Yeah, I don't know that I would call it the word of 2024 because it's two words.
Right.
Extreme weather, it's a phrase. Same
exactly.
with this next one, Midwest nice. Although Midwest nice has been around for decades, the term gained widespread attention, obviously, during the last presidential election. And it may be a riff on Minnesota. What is it? Minnesota
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So it said Midwest nice is often seen as a more general variant of Minnesota nice. Again, this is a phrase to me, and I guess they're being loosey-goosey with saying the word of 2024 when they're giving us some phrases, but there you go.
Right. I used to live in Minnesota, and they used to always talk about Minnesota nice. And I will say that the people there, generally, I really loved my time living there. It was a great place. The fifth one and the final one that was in for contention, we all heard because of the VP candidate, Tim Walz, weird. And it really was just about how he described the opponents on the Republican side of being weird, just in terms of what they were talking about and kind of the strangeness of some of the things that they were fascinated about. Of course, that didn't do us anything to win the election. But,
Nope.
But weird was another word that was in contention. But demure is the word of the year of 2024.
2024.
It's demure, John.
And just going back in time, 2023, the word of the year was hallucinate. 2022, the word of the year was woman. I'm rolling my eyes because I don't know how they come up with this. 2021 was allyship. And 2020, no surprise here, the word pandemic.
Pandemic.
So there you have it, folks. The word of the year, right?
Yeah. No, it's, well, I don't know. Demure. I've used demure. Of all these, I've used demure. I guess we all said weird. I don't really talk about Midwest nice. Extreme weather, we don't say extreme weather. We just say it's raining, it's snowing, it's windy.
Yeah. It's the weather. Yeah.
It's the weather. So hey, thanks for joining us here on the Focus Group. We appreciate the time you spend with us. As John noted, we're in our 16th year. You can find out all about us at focusgroupradio.com. You'll also find all of our media housed there. We post a show every Wednesday through Facebook and YouTube, and you can also find it just about anywhere. If you type in The Focus Group with John Nash or The Focus Group with Tim Bennett, it'll pop up. Don't confuse us with the other one that you have to pay for. And we also have our podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned, which is released every Tuesday, also housed at focusgroupradio.com or those other areas that we mentioned. We hope you all have a safe beginning to this holiday season as we're already in December. Remember, don't text to drive, arrive alive, and we'll see you next time here on the Focus Group. Take care.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.